Hello, this is my review for Tron Legacy. Now, I feel like there should be a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. I absolutely love this film, so this is mostly going to be a positive video. If you're looking for a critic that's going to tear this film apart, that's not going to be this particular review, because I absolutely love this movie. I watch it all the time. It's just such a great film. I grew up with the original film from 1982, and I felt like this is one of the best sequels ever made, because it was able to mix both new characters with the original cast very well, very seamlessly. Um, I'll tell you something else too about the Tron films in general. Uh, if you have a high-end television set and you're trying to show it off to your friends, get this movie in Blu-ray or even better 4K Blu-ray, and show them your OLED TV set, because the true blacks on like an OLED really do pop for the visual style that is used in Tron Legacy as well as Tron Ares. You know, those rich dark blacks, and in the case of Ares, the bright reds, and in the case of Legacy, the bright blues. It just really shows off a high-end TV set, so you'll definitely appreciate it by watching a movie like this. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't realize about the Tron movies is this really did establish that whole formula that Hollywood now uses for rebooted franchises. This is the first movie really to ever mix the old cast of a classic film with new younger actors, and do soft rebooting of franchises. And it really is the template for a lot of other films like Top Gun Maverick, and Star Wars The Force Awakens, the rebooted series from J.J. Abrams. This really was the film that created that whole trend of reboots. It's such a fun film. I do have a couple pet peeves with this particular film. For starters, the pacing kind of sucks. It's a sluggish movie when it comes to how the story progresses. I do think that's one thing that they got right with Tron Ares, is the pacing is much faster in that movie and it moves a lot quicker. And I actually do think Ares is superior when it comes to story pacing. Now, when it came to action sequences and visual just execution, this film is the best of the Tron trilogy. Joseph Kosinski, the director on this, who also directed, Top Gun Maverick, he's just an incredibly visual director, and just does amazing visual sequences. And Tron Legacy probably will never be topped when it comes to the execution of the visual effects. He just knew how to stage things better than anybody else, and it's just an amazing film to watch. And a lot of people will complain that the Tron series is basically, especially the second and third films, are just feature length like music videos, and that's accurate. That really is. It's basically a visual tour de force. In this film, it's the Daft Punk soundtrack, and it's probably the best of the Tron soundtracks. I still give the edge to Legacy. Ares has an amazing soundtrack too. Nine Inch Nails did that one, and it's also a banger, and it's almost as good as Legacy. I mean, it's kind of big shoes to fill when it comes to following up this particular film when it comes to the soundtrack. You just can't beat it. The other thing that about this particular film that's kind of a negative is some of the sequences, like towards the end of the film. Let's just say it's an homage to Star Wars, because there's some visuals of the battle where the gliders are flying around and stuff that lifted from the original Star Wars trilogy pretty good, and there's some YouTube videos to actually compare it shot for shot, and you can see that they did kind of pay homage to Star Wars. So there's that. This film could be a disappointment for you if you're going into watching all three films back to back, because they set up a sequel to Tron Legacy at the end of this film that there's really no payoff in Tron Ares. So they kind of went off on a tangent when they made Tron Ares, and a lot of people who went into Tron Ares, and probably why that movie got such rough reviews, is it didn't continue the storyline that was established in Legacy. So there were little Easter eggs thrown throughout the storyline for Ares that was kind of referencing Legacy, but they don't do anything with it. And they were, I guess, trying to set up for a fourth film where they would actually finish the story arc for Legacy, and that's probably never going to happen because the Tron movies have always been box office disappointments. Even though this movie made quite a bit of money, Legacy was definitely the most successful box office for the three Tron movies. Although these movies, they never do well in streaming, and they always make their money back in home video. So Disney's definitely making money off Tron. You know, between how popular it was on streaming, especially when Ares launched, it was #1 for months when it comes to streaming platforms. You know, they wouldn't have built like, you know, $200 or $300 million roller coasters based on the Tron movies had it not been a popular franchise that has some legs. It's never going to be as big as Star Wars or the Marvel Universe, but Tron has its cult following, so don't underestimate how many people watch Tron. I mean, I watch Tron probably once a month, just because, at least one of the films, just because I love the way it looks. I mean, it's just one of those films where you don't really care about the storyline. You're just, you know, cranking up the volume on your sound system to listen to that amazing soundtrack and getting those incredible visuals to go with it. So it's a great film. I highly recommend it if you've never seen it. And if you're just starting out, you can probably skip the first film and still understand Tron Legacy. It's definitely one of those films where you can kind of pick up and you don't need to see the original 82 film. Although, if you want to watch it, you can. I do think that movie, I mean, the storyline of it did not age well. It looks amazing. Looks like $1 million by today's standards. But, you know, my pet peeve with the pacing on this one is even worse for the original 82 film. But, you know, movies were made differently back then, so it's understandable. But, yeah, that's my bottom line on Tron Legacy. If you want to watch an amazing film with great visual effects and just a kick-ass soundtrack and kind of want to shut your brain off for 2 hours or so, then I'd check out Tron Legacy, because it's just an incredible film.